Good morning, everybody. So before starting the class, please make me sure that how many of you have opened your book and am I visible and audible to everyone? Raise your hand and make me sure that am I visible and audible to everybody? Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. So student, today the lesson that we're going to start that will be Merchant of Venice is written by William Shakespeare. Okay. William Shakespeare. So first of all, I just want to tell you something more about Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, who was born on 23rd April 1564, and the place is straightforward upon Avon. So what is Stateford? Stateford is a village. Okay, it is what? It is a village in Warwickshire. Warwickshire. And what is Owen? So it is a river. It is a river of Forest Arden. Forest of river in Forest of Arden. Clear? Okay. What about the death of William Shakespeare? So he died on 23rd April. See the birth and the date of birth and the date of death both are same. Okay. So 23 April 1616. He was buried in Holy Church. He was buried in Holy Church, Holy Trinity Church. That is also in the same place. Okay. Is the board is visible to everybody? Okay. So that was all about William Shakespeare. Let us talk me now his major works. So when we talk about the major works of William Shakespeare, he has written 37 major plays. Okay, 37 major plays. So 37 major plays has been categorized into comedy, into tragedy, into romances, into historical plays. So he has written 12 comedies. Okay, out of 36 plays, he has written 12 comedies. Thereafter 11 tragedies. 11. Just wait. 11. Okay, and then after 10 historical plays. 10 historical plays. 10 historical plays, and then after he has written 4 romances. So 12 comedies, 11 tragedies, and then 10 historical plays, and also 4 romances. Clear? Why I'm talking about these things? Because in this part only we are going to watch Merchant of Venice we have in our course. That is a type of comedy. That is a type of comedy written by William Shakespeare. Clear? Okay. So first of all, the Merchant of Venice, in which we have total 5 acts. So 1 to 3 acts we will cover here in class time, the whole session. About first act, okay, you can see in your index also there are 5 acts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 to 3 acts we will cover here, and then after here in Act 1, Scene 1, 2, and 3, Act 2, Scene 1 to 9. There are 9 acts in Act 2. Then in Act 3, Scene 1 only is in our 9th class course. Rest of the portion will be covered in the next class, class 10. Okay. Okay. So before starting the explanation, I just want to make clear the title of the play. See, the title of the play is what? It is Merchant of Venice. Okay. Merchant of Venice. If we talk on the title of the play, so the title of the Shakespearean play were named after the character. When we talk about the tragedies of Shakespeare, no, so all the title in his tragedies, in his tragic play, they just named after the powerful character of the tragedies, like Hamlet. You just have the name just after the powerful King Hamlet, then King Lear, then Othello, and thereafter much more Romeo and Juliet. So these are just named just after the powerful character of the or hero or heroine of the tragic play. Okay, when we talk about comedies, so basically his comedies are known as, means the title is kept by a massive a passive character. See, Antonio. See the character Antonio. Okay. One more character we will get here, Shylock. They both are merchant. Merchant of Venice. Okay, Venice is what? So Venice is a place where it is in Europe. It is a place in Europe. Okay, Venice is in Europe. So here there are two merchants, Antonio and Shiloh. So here the question is, if there are two merchants, so which merchant this merchant of Venice is referred to? Okay, that we will discuss first. So you can see that the tragedy of the page number 9 I am in your textbook. If you have your book, please open your book page number 9 and make me sure that how many of you have opened your book. Please raise your hand and then make me sure how many of you have opened your book page number 9. Okay, very good. All right. So here the tragedy is after the powerful character and the comedy is after the weak one. It says that tragedies are just named after the powerful character. And what about the comedies? So comedies are kept with the name of a weak character. Actually, Antonio is not a powerful character of this tragedy. Okay, he is what? A weak character, passive character. So who is the powerful character in this tragedy? In this comedy? So here we have actually his comedies are just named after the female character of William Shakespeare, the heroines of the play. Okay, here we have the powerful character named Portia. I will explain you later. So Portia has a powerful character here. So he's the heroine. So comedy is much more powerful. Why? Because the role of the female character, the heroines of the character. That is why Ruskin has given a statement. You can, if you will read, you will find out that Shakespeare has no heroes. He is talking about his comedies, not tragedies. Okay, so in the concept of his, in the concern of his comedies, Ruskin statement is that the Shakespeare has no heroes, but only heroines. See how much great this statement that he has given a greater place to the heroines of William Shakespeare. Okay, now here Portia, we will find out that how Portia's character is here to there, how he has expresses Portia as a powerful character here. So I was talking about title of the play, and then after comedies are weak one. Merchant of Venice is a romantic comedy. If you're talking about Merchant of Venice, so it is not a pure comedy. It is not a pure comedy. Actually, it is a romantic comedy. So you will think that, ma'am, what is romantic comedy? So let us have a brief explanation on romantic comedy. Just turn page number 10. Go to page number 10. See the romantic comedy is written there. I will give you something brief of romantic comedy. So romantic comedy is what? It is a humorous play. First of all, I will explain you comedy. Children, what is comedy? So comedy is nothing but a play. It is a literary work. Okay, a literary work which is written to amuse and to entertainment for the reader. When the writer is going to write a comedy, his intention is to amuse the reader. When a reader or the audience is going to see the play or to read the play, they find an amusement. They entertain due to this. Okay, so comedy is what? So it is a literary work written to amuse or to entertain a reader. Clear? What about the characters? So characters can suffer their misfortune. Here also characters can suffer their misfortune, but finally at the end, what happened? They united happily. So the play in which the characters get misfortune, but finally they just union happily. That types of plays are often keep in the category of comedies play. Clear? I was talking about how it is a romantic comedy. So what is romantic? Romantic we have to discuss how it is not a pure comedy. See here, why Merchant of Venice is not a pure comedy. Why it is a romantic comedy? We will be discussing here. So page number that 10 I was talking about. Yes. Okay, so romantic comedy is a humorous play that Merchant of Venice is, which tells us the story involving a beautiful heroine. If a play is a romantic comedy, there should be a beautiful heroine that should be involved in throughout the play. Okay, although the course of their love is not smooth. Okay, there's a couple, love and lover. So their meeting is not smooth. It means they have a means the way of their meeting, there should be a complexity. They have to suffer the full play. Throughout the play, they have to suffer by different problems, different conditions. Their meetings are not smooth. But finally, at the end, what happened? They meet smoothly, and the ending should be happy ending. And what is the criteria of romantic comedy? Actually, you know that romantic comedy is a term that is given in Elizabethan period, and William Shakespeare's name will come first. He has only written, first of all, romantic comedy. How he has merged a comedy into a romantic comedy and a tragic comedy. Okay, so it overcomes all difficulties at the end of the play in a happy union. That I explain you at the end of the play. The characters meet happily. Clear? All right. So the conclusion of a romantic comedy is a social ritual of wedding. What about the conclusion of it? It should be a ritual of a wedding, feast or dance. So feast of dance, social ritual, wedding. These can be the ending part or the conclusion part of romantic comedy. And also the word romantic refers to means the imagination, the fantasy world, and the what we can say ecstasy and far from reality. So these all things we can find in romantic comedy. All right. See the classical comedy. If you're talking about comedy, so there are two types of comedy: classical comedy and what we just have a romantic comedy. Classical comedy in which we have unity of time. It means what? It means that the time is presented in the story which to be limited by two, or means particular time is to be given. In that they have to follow. In classical tragedy, I am talking about. Second says unity of a place. Unity of place means the play is going just the plot of the play should be play what it means that. Oh, just wait. Okay. So the action that to be presented was to be limited and to be presented into a single place. So there is condition. If you're going to write a classical comedy, you have to follow the rule of unity of time, unity of place, and unity of action. Actions of the play should be played on that particular action that was given in the starting of the play. Here, Merchant of Venice is not going to follow the classical comedy because here we can find two places. Okay, we can find two places here. First of Venice, and then after one more place is Belmont. Okay, Venice is a real place. Venice is a real place in England. Okay, here today also we find it. So Venice represent what? The reality of the world. It represents the reality of the world. Okay, in spite of the how it is a romantic comedy. So when we talk about the world, the place Belmont, okay, this is a fantasy world, imagination. It is an imagination of William Wordsworth. Okay, so with the help of this place, a fantasy place by William Wordsworth, he just want to say how the people become. They can imagine is the ideal place for love and each of for everybody, each couple. So we will have these things in later of the play when I will explain. Here I'm only given an introductory class of this Merchant of Venice. So here Merchant of Venice does not observe these three unities, that is unity of place, unity of action, and unity of time. Okay, clear? Now just come again to the title of this play. I was here and then after I was explaining that. So there are two merchants, Antonio and Shylock. When we talk about Shylock, so Shylock is what? Shylock is very complex and dynamic character. Shylock is very complex and dynamic character, and he is an embodiment of evil. He actually hates to whom? To Antonio. Clear? Throughout the play, he is characterized the Jew. He is characterized as the Jew. Okay, why he is not characterized as the merchant? Because he has not the quality of, he is not any quality of the hero. He always considered characterized as the Jew throughout the play. Clear? But when we talk about Antonio, so Antonio is described throughout the play as a merchant. Okay, he described throughout the play as a merchant. Even his own daughter, we are talking about Shylock, his own daughter Jessica hates him by regards his home as hell. And then he eloped with a Christian. He's a Jew, no? But his own daughter Jessica hates him because of his nature. He just elopes with a man who is a Christian. Then after what happens, Shylock plots against Antonio's life, and then after a disgraceful excess, and he cannot be the merchant of. That is why these are the, means there is not any single characteristic of a hero, and so that is why he is not considered as the title as a merchant of this Venice. But Antonio, if we are talking about Antonio, so Antonio is what? Antonio, on the other hand, is the royal merchant. Okay, he is considered as the royal merchant whose ships full of merchandise. Antonio's ships is full of merchandise. People know Antonio's respectfully. They know, oh, everybody knows Antonio well. In Venice, he is a person which named is, which people people take his name in reverence. Okay, so he sail all the world. He is a kind and generous man, having quality of head as well as the heart. Okay, he has a beautiful mind. Then after, his heart is also very soft for the other people. His fortunes and misfortunes are focused in the play, and he is the link between the main plot and subplot. Here, Merchant of Venice, in which the character Antonio, who has linked the main plot as well as the subplot of the play, as Shakespeare has presented this play in this way. Okay, it is Antonio who enables Bassanio to marry the heroine of the casket story, and it is who become the victim of Shylock's victimness. Okay, his curiously his colorless personality, as is the lack of action in the trial scene, makes him the ideal hero of a romantic comedy. He is a passive hero after whom the title has been named. So as I told you that he is weak and passive character, but the title has been named after his uh, business, his trade. Clear? Okay. So he has been careless enough to sing the fatal bond. Okay, what is the thing I will tell you later. For title, it is okay. You have to know that there are two merchants, but there is no quality of a hero in Shylock. Actually, he has played. You can say that he is a villain of the story. Okay, he has some characteristic, but Shakespeare wanted to present Antonio as a merchant. So the title Merchant of Venice is just kept after the name of Antonio. Okay. Now, student, we are going to have the text. For text, you can open page number 21. Please open page number 21. Make me sure how many of you have opened page number 21, the main text. Okay, okay, all right, very good. Now till here, what I explained to everybody. So all things are clear to you. Just raise your hand and then tell me all things are clear to you. Title, what about I just explained the comedies, the tragedies, and romantic comedy, and about William Wordsworth. Okay, okay, all right. So now here we are going to start Act 1, Scene 1. Okay, Act 1, Scene 1, page number 21. The opening scene gives the exposition, the situation on which a story is based. Here in the very first act, very first scene, we find that it represents what? The situation where the story is going to be placed. Clear? We are introduced to Antonio the merchant, who gives the title to drama. Okay, here in the scene, Act 1, Scene 1, we are going to introduce Antonio, on which the title is given. I explained you. Interest is heightened by showing him a melancholic mood. Okay, whenever we are talking about Antonio, so the full play shows that Antonio is a character who is always in his sadness. He is always upset. So his activity, when we see that, we find that he is upset without any reason. We do not know exactly what reason of his sadness. So we find him like that. Okay, Celerino and Selenio. Celerino and Selenio, they are two characters. They are the friends of Antonio. We find here in this scene. His friends gives various reasons for his sadness and try to bring him out of it. His friend Celerino and Celerino, they both are his friend, and they just wanted to give means various reason to find out from his sadness. According to their part, they wanted to make the problem of his sadness. They just wanted to receive it of giving a number of solution. Okay, Bassanio, closest friend of Antonio, asks for a loan for him. One more character we are going to introduce here. Basenio, he is also one of the closest friend. Actually, he's the best friend here we find. He's the best friend, and he asked for a loan from him. Why? In order to present himself as a eligible suitor of Portia. Eligible means applicant. Suitor of Portia. Portia is see that uh, Portia is a rich heiress of Belmont. I told about this place Belmont. So here Portia is the princess of Belmont. Okay, so he just wanted to have a loan from Antonio to marry Portia. Okay, that is why Antonio's ships are still at sea. He's a business of ships, so that is why he's worldwide famous. So his ships are still at sea, as he has no ready cash with him. Now this time at present time when he demanded for a loan, so that time all the ships of Antonio's are at the sea. He had not any ready cash with him. Okay. Then after what had happened? But the authorities Bassanio to us, his good name has okay. He told that there is a good name in Venice, so he thought I will take the credit of my good name, and then after get a loan from any other money lender. Okay, I will take the credit of my good name, and then I will take the credit of my goodness, my good name, and then after I will take loan from any other money lender. Why? Because he has not any ready cash with him. So that is overall summary that we are going to have in Act 1, Scene 1 is it. And now we are going to proceed with the lines here. You can see that Act 1, Venice, a street. It just begins with a street. In Venice, it begins with a street. Clear? So it begins with a street. See the, okay, enter who? Antonio, Celerino, and Selenio. There are three characters who are going to be entered here. Antonio, Celerino, and Selenio. So here the first speech, the very first speech of this play is of Antonio. It says what? In sooth, I know not why I'm so sad. It wearies me, you say it wearies you. But how I got it, found it, or came by it, what stuffs is made of, whereof it is born. Antonio is saying, in sooth. Sooth means in reality, in true. I know not why I'm sad. He's saying that in reality, I actually do not know why I am sad. It wearies me as you say it wearies you. Why I am sad, I do not know, and I becomes always sad. My sadness wearies me. I am completely tired of my sadness. Okay, I suffered it from it by a longer time. So now I become very tired by my sadness. So my sadness makes me tired. Okay, but how I got it, found it, or came by it? What stuff is made of? Whereof it is born? How I got it? But how I got it? How can I come in this condition? From where that sadness come to me? Okay, how he has found me, and then after how it came, how I came in the contact of my sadness, I do not know. Clear? What is the origin of my sadness? I do not know. How I came in the contact of my sadness, I do not know. I actually do not know what is my sadness. 905. I am to learn, and such bond with sadness makes of me that I have much ado know myself. Again, Antonio is saying that I am to learn. I have to learn my sadness. I should know what is the sadness of mine and my sadness. Such a want to win the sadness makes me. Okay, my sadness makes me a silly man, a stupid man. Due to my sadness, I always means I cannot show my activity properly. I cannot be an active man. It makes me stupid. Okay, I'm looking like a silly man. Why? Because of my sadness. I have much ado to know myself. Now I am in this condition. So in this condition, I must know what is going on with me. Clear? So I do not know my sadness. I want to know my sadness, and my sadness makes me tired, and as well as it makes me a stupid and silly person. So this line number 1 to 10 is clear to everybody. Please raise your hand and then make me sure faster. Okay, very good, very good. All right, we will start from the next speech, that is Salarino. Okay, what Salarino told then? See, the in response of Antonio's speech, his friend Salarino says, okay, your mind is tossing on the ocean. Your mind is tossing on the ocean, there where your argosies with orderly sail, like sinners and rich burglaries on the flood, or as it were the pigeons of the sea. Do overpeer the pretty creatures that courtesy to them reverence as they fly by them with their open wings. He says, his friend Celerone says that my dear friend Antonio, now they just wanted to give some other means, they just wanted to make him relax from his tension, and they are thinking that might be this cause of your sadness. So he's saying that your mind is tossing on the ocean, Antonio. Your mind, you are puzzled because your mind is there on your ship, on the oceans, on the ship. Because if a person who has a business like you, who has a merchandise like you, definitely he becomes sad. Definitely he will be a puzzle person, because always his mind will be there at the sea, as he ships. Okay, so that is why your mind is tossing on the ocean. You are there always, every time. You're not present at the present time where you are. There were Argoges with partly portly sail. Argoges is the rich ship, as he is a rich businessman. His ships are also known as the rich ships. Like signers and rich burghers road. Okay, suppose there is a procession, in which procession, if there's a crowd of people, and then in that crowd, if any celebrity comes, so people give the praise to go celebrity. So in the same way, he says that in your ships is like a celebrity. They are very rich. People give reverence. Reverence means respect. Okay, in curiosity, they give respect to your ship, and then they just make a place for it, and it goes up into the sea, and rest of the ships give the ships of yours, the ships belongs to you, what? A respect, a reverence. And see, the pretty traffickers are refers to the poor ship, the ship they are small. Okay, they means they are just used for a small commercial. So rest of the ships are looking like small commercial ship. And what about your ship? Your ships are argosies to which people respect, means where as people respect any celebrity, so all the ships give respect to your ship when it goes into the sea. Clear? Okay, now the next speech is of Salarino. Okay, till here things are clear. Raise your hand and then tell me. Okay, now the next speech is of Salarino. Now one friend has told one thing, so definitely other will also say. What Salarino says? Salarino says that, believe me, Antonio, believe me, sir, had I such venture is business, the better part of my affection would be with my hopes abroad. I should be still means always, plucking the grass to know where sits the wind, peering the maps for ports, and for peering means looking careful, and piers means the harbors and roads, and every object that might make me fear misfortune to my ventures out of doubt would make me sad. He is telling that, oh sir, believe me. What is talking to believe of? He is saying that, believe me, if I would be in your place, if I would be have such a business what you have, what would be I do? If I had I such ventures forth like you, the better part of my affection would be where? Everywhere on the sea as you have. So you are in this condition. That is absolutely correct. Don't worry for your condition, because you have such a large business. Your merchandise is like that, so everybody will be concerned from that. And he's giving the different example and just making compare that he's making him relax and saying that if I have such types of business, what I do, I always plucking the grass. Okay, I always plucking the grass and would see that the grass is going in which direction. And I just wanted to observe the direction of the wind. Where the wind goes, the grass will go on that direction. So I could see the direction of it, and I calculate that in which direction my ships would be going on at that time. So for all the time, I always be concerned for my ships. Clear? So, and also what I would do peering in map for ports and piers and roads. I would plucking the grass for knowing the direction in which direction my ships would be going. And also I was always looking carefully where in the map for what? For the ports, for the harbors, and for the road. I always looking carefully in the map so that in which harbor, on which port or on which direction my ships are, my ships would be going on. And also, okay, and every object that make me fear misfortune to my venture, out of doubt would make me sad. If I would be at your place, I would do the same. And every misfortune, if I was plucking the grass, I was looking into the map. So these all objects, there might be a fear in my mind that every object makes me a fear. When I see the grass, then my mind goes there. When I see the map, my mind goes there. So these objects make me fear. Why? So that maybe any misfortune happen to my business there at the sea. So definitely, if you without out of doubt means without doubt, my mind would be there as you are. Okay. Okay. Celerino. Till here, things are clear to everybody. Raise your hand and make me sure things are. We have completed all these speeches. Okay. All right. Very good. So first of all, Antonio's speech, here we find the sadness of Antonio. He is a melancholy person, showed in very first stanza. Then the next line, Salarino's speech, in which he has given some relaxation to his friend, and then saying that if I have also like that, I would be doing these things. And then the next speech of the third speech of Selenio, he is also saying that to believe me, if I have such types of business, my mind also would be always there. So, do you have any question from these areas? Okay, do you have any question, or should I go to the next line? Aditi Jaiswal. I will ask you, Aditi Jaiswal. Aditi. Okay, 6E Prachi Tiwari.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Prachi.
Ma'am, good morning.
Yes, beta. Good morning.
Ma'am, that Antonio speech, that's the fourth line. What stuff this made me off? Ma'am, this one line, please explain.
Okay. So here is the same thing that he's talking about that particular sadness. That what is stuff it made? My sadness made up of which thing, which object, from where it came? What is the origin of my sadness? So he just wanted to know exactly his sadness is what. Clear?
Yeah.
So
Okay,
whatever description is there, according to Antonio, he just wanted to know that from where it came, from where he got into it. Clear? Okay. Okay, Utkarsh, 8th C, Utkarsh. Utkarsh, are you listening me? Adiba, a 9D.
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am.
Yes, Adiba, good morning.
Ma'am, in the last speech of Salenio, ma'am, the third one, Salenio, ma'am, please explain from that 20 line. Ma'am, Ma'am, 29.
And
Ma'am,
every object. All right, I got.
ma'am.
Okay. Okay, here it says and every object that might make me fear, the objects near me. The objects near me, which reminded me the sea, which reminded me my business, which reminded me what? My ships, my venture. So the object that reminded, that makes me fear what? That maybe any misfortune, misfortune would be going to be happen with my business, with my ships, here with my merchandise. Out of doubt would make me sad. So definitely these objects, these thoughts make me sad as you are Antonio. They just
Okay,
wanted
ma'am,
to make
thank you.
relax Antonio, no? So that is why they're just giving some such these types of explanation, so that the tension of his friend would be released, would be listened. Clear?
Okay, ma'am, thank
Okay,
you.
all right. Okay, so I hope there is no doubt. I will proceed. Okay, then the next speech is of Salarino. My wind, cooling my brood. Wind is breath, brood is soup. Would blow me and blow me to an oak when I thought, what harm a wind too great at the sea might do. I should not see the sandy hourglass sun, but I should think of the shallow and the flats. And I see my wealthy Andrew ducks in sand, bailing her high top lower than her ribs. To kiss her burials, should I go to church and see the holy effidies of stone, and not bethink me straight of dangerous rock, which touching by but my gentle vessel's side would scatter all my her spices on the stone, and robe the roaring waters with my skills and in the wood. But even now worth this, and now worth nothing shall I have a thought. To think this, and I lack the thought to such a thing balanced, ventured would make me sad. Okay, very long speech by Sailorinu. He says, my wind cooling my brood. Again, he's giving some. Okay, here in these lines we have three comparison given by this character. He says that my wind. See, the first comparison is giving by wind. My wind here, my breath was. He says that my breath cooling my cup, my juice, my liquid, whatever liquid part I. Okay, this is written of the age of Elizabeth. Now this is the time of Shakespeare. There they're simply taking soup. So here that is why he has given the example of soup. So he is saying that my breath cooling when we take a cup of tea, cup of coffee or anything, milk and so our breath comes from our mouth and our nose. No, that makes what? That means that makes a trouble to the drinking whatever liquids are there. Okay, and due to that due to that wind, that liquid started trembling. No, there is a shaking in that liquid. No, what we have when we drink something. Clear? Suppose we are drinking a cup of tea. So when we have a breath, due to our breath, what happens? There is a there zigzag something shakiness happen in that liquid part. So when we see that, see the high compression is doing. When we see that, what happened? I feel would be blowing me and make that feeling, that thought make me a fever. Egg is what? A fever with a shivering. I have a fever with that thought when I have any liquid, my soup with me. I take my breath. That feeling makes me fear. Why? That due to that small breathing, okay, there is not that much power. It's a less power in my breathing, and due to that less power, my liquid started shaking. Okay, what would be the condition of the great wind if that will come in the sea? This feeling makes me worried. If I would be at your place, Antonio, these feelings make, see the high comparison he's doing. No. So that feelings make me worried. What harm a wind too great? Too great winds means a tempest, like tempest, as well as you can say that tornado. These are the tempest of sea. So that too great winds, what would be condition of my business on that time, my shift on that time? That feeling makes me tension. I should not see the sandy hourglass. Again, one comparison. Sandy hourglass. I should not see the sandy hourglass. I will explain you what is sandy hourglass. You know, earlier there is no watch. Okay, sandy hourglass is hourglass that is somewhere designed like that. There is a hole. Okay, so this is the dust, sand or dust. So due to these particles, there is a small hole, teeny hole, from where some sands are coming this side. So he's again saying that whenever I see this hourglass, by seeing this hourglass, I reminded this the sands inside it. Okay, when I see this, the hourglass, the sand, then what type of thought come in my mind says that what I should think of that shallow and flat. When I see this teeny hope, this hourglass, the thought came to my mind that maybe my ship goes there and it just scallops with any flat, means where there is sand areas. There are ships, but sometimes in the ship, so there sometimes come a flat area. So that thought makes me worried that if ships are going and maybe he just stuck with any flat area, that land area in which we find sand, then what had happened? And see my wealthy Andrew Dawkins sand. Andrew is ship, okay, it's a commercial ship, very rich ship. So it just scallops with the drop. It dips with with the sand, and then wailing her high top lower than her lips. Okay, when it stuck forcefully is stuck with that with the sand, then what happened? Wailing means now ship is like that. No, it is now lowering. It is now lowering. It is now coming like and then it's stuck there and now it is lowering. Okay, after this condition, now see this position. What happened then? To kiss her burial. Okay, when the ship becomes lowering, see what we can say, the sail which is placed here by in ship, no, that also comes down and that pace comes down and then he started to touch the burial of the ship. So here the writer's imagination is how much high. Okay, he says that when it comes and just touch this feet, it shows that it just kisses its burial. So means he just wanted to say what? That the sand, when I see the sand, I could not see hourglass. Due to that, I thought that might be my ship stuck it gallops to a land, and then after it becomes lower, and due to that position, my what we can say, the sail what is placed in a ship that just started touching its burial. Okay, so that thought makes me worried when I think this. When I see an hourglass, so that is why I do not want to see this. Okay, one more comparison. I told that there's three comparisons. So one more comparison is what? The second is of sandy hourglass. Okay, first was wind. Second was windy. Second was sandy hourglass. And what about the third? See, third says, should I go to church? Okay, should I go to church and to see the holy edifice of stone? Edifice. What is that? Edifice. Edifice is what? That buildings. Okay, buildings of stone. So he says that should I go to church and see the holy buildings of stone? When I will go to church, on that time church were to be built by the stone. So due to that stone, wind reminded me about my sea, and then after sandy hourglass. Now then after the second was sandy hourglass, and then after third says that stones. So what that stone says? So that stones reminded me what? See, and not be think me straight of my dangerous rock. Okay, they are just reminded me the dangerous rock. Dangerous rock, you can say that iceberg. You have seen might be Titanic that everybody must be seen. So in Titanic, you know that how the Caliph to iceberg with that ship. So I just when I see the rocks in church, I just do not want to go into church. Why? Because whenever I go to the church, I found that buildings made up of stone, and when I find that stone it's way it just gives a fearful thought, a dangerous thought that might that stone, that any iceberg, okay, which touching my gentle vessel, which touching my ships, and then after would scattered all her species, all her spices on the stream. Okay, when it will be scattered, definitely there will be a shaking there, and into that, due to that condition, all my spices, all the goods, all the things that are already placed, already kept in the sea, that will be what that will be? Means they will be scattered into the sea. And what had happened then? Enrobe the roaring waters with my sins. Okay, all my spices will be scattered into the sea. And suppose if there is any silk goods like means any goods like silk is there in my ship, so that silk means that silk completely clothed the enrobe means dressed or clothes. Okay, so that clothes all over the water and the ship. And in a word, but even now worthless is this. And if I will say, so I just, in that position, what would be? If I will say in a word, but in that condition, all my valuable things will be worthless. Once it will be in the ship, it becomes an valuable thing. Once it will be lowering into the water, into the sea, there is no value at all. So he's saying what? See here, Shakespeare just wanted to focus on a general description. He just wanted to give. This is the condition in our world also. If a man is valuable, people respect him. So in the same case, the things, the valuable things are just already placed into the ship. They are valuable till what time? When it is at the ship. As well as it comes down into the ship, it becomes valueless. Okay. So that he's saying, shall I have the thought to think on this? Okay, again they are saying that, oh Antonio, tell me, should we have to thinking every time that type of thought, or shall I lack the thought, or should we not think about these things? Okay, but tell me not, I know Antonio is sad to think upon his merchandise. So it is genuine to think about your merchandise every time. So till here we have finished. We will begin from the from line 40 in the next class.